Introduction to the Geologic Column. The geologic column is filled with fascinating evidence of creatures that used to live on Earth. In it we find bones, tracks, eggs, and other evidence of creatures, most of which are now extinct. In this presentation, we will learn what the geologic column is. Then throughout the series, we will learn some of the terms used to describe the geologic column. We'll learn about the fossils preserved in it, some ideas about how the geologic column came to be, and some of the evidence used to support those ideas. So, what exactly is the geologic column? The geologic column refers to layers of rock all over the world. Another word for the layers is strata. The singular form is stratum. Much of the geologic column is buried underground, but there are places where parts of it lie exposed for us to see and study. There is no one place in the world where all the rock strata are visible, but a really great place to see most of the layers is in the western United States in a place called the Grand Staircase. Starting in the Grand Canyon in Arizona and going north through Zion National Park in Utah and Bryce Canyon National Park in Utah, the Grand Staircase includes hundreds of square miles of exposed rock layers. A geologist named Clarence Dutton first thought of them as a huge staircase in the 1870s and divided the strata into 5 steps based on their colors: chocolate, vermilion, which means bright scarlet red, white, gray, and pink. Geologists have named the rock layers, not just those in the Grand Staircase, but the strata all around the world, and organized them in a chart like this. In order to be able to learn about them, it's helpful to know their names. An interval that includes several layers at the bottom is called the Precambrian. All the layers above the Precambrian can be grouped together into an interval we call the Phanerozoic. The main difference between the Precambrian and the Phanerozoic is that the Precambrian has almost no fossils at all, but the Phanerozoic has lots. The Phanerozoic is divided into 3 different intervals called erythems. Just above the Precambrian is the Paleozoic erythem. Most of the fossils found in the Paleozoic are marine animals, or animals that lived in or around the water. It is divided into 7 different sections called systems. On top of the Paleozoic is the Mesozoic erythem. The Mesozoic layers are filled with a mixture of marine and land creatures, the most famous of which are the dinosaurs. It is divided into 3 different systems. On top of the Mesozoic is the Cenozoic erythem. The Cenozoic layers contain a variety of creatures, but they are best known for the fossils of land mammals found there. The Cenozoic is divided into 3 systems. All the rock strata around the world that geologists have described in this chart make up what we call the geologic column. These rock layers, their position in relation to each other, and the fossils found in them provide us with lots of observable data. As scientists study the data in the geologic column, they use some very specific terminology. In fact, there are 2 different sets of terminology. Our next presentation will explain the difference between the 2 sets of words and why it's important to understand and be able to use both.